Well, good morning, Nat. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Pete?
I'm doing great. What's the matter? What happened?
What are you talking about?
Well, you're in a green shirt, right? I've always seen you in black. Your black shirt,
Oh yeah,
t-shirt, your black jacket. So what happened?
my uniform. Dude, have you ever heard about Stitch Fit? Stitch Fix?
I've seen a little bit on the internet, but tell me about it because you're wearing green, buddy.
Well, so the other day I'm like, I really could use some new clothes because, typical guy. I never go shopping anyways. But I'm certainly not going to go, wander around Nordstrom with a face mask for, 15 minutes for an hour. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to get clothes delivered to my house. So I'm like, men's clothes, whatever. So I came up with Stitch Fix. And so it's actually pretty cool. You put in all your sizes, so waist, inseam, shirt, jacket, like all that stuff, shoe size. And then they kind of have a personal shopper that curates your clothes for you, and you get a package once a month, and you only pay for what you keep. And then it's like free returns. Postage is paid both ways. So I'm
That's kinda
actually
cool. So for first question is, it sounds really expensive to me. I mean, you're getting this designer stuff mailed to you. I mean, you look like a designer here with that nice shirt. But so is it really expensive?
you can kind of indicate like how much you usually pay for like shirts and everything, like your range.
Mhm.
But I was actually pleasantly surprised. Everything that showed up was pretty reasonably priced. And then of course they have this, hook. Like if you buy everything in the package, you get 25% off. So, that I I returned everything except for this shirt because
Sure you
I'm a
did.
cheap guy. But
Yeah, sure. They couldn't incentivize you to keep it. So when we talk about cheap, right? So if you would have kept the whole package, the shoes, the pants, the shirt, what are we talking about?
like about $200.
$200. Okay. So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
From a standpoint. And the design, well, obviously you like some of the stuff they sent, the shirt, right? So
I
have you been
was
happy
gonna
with what they
keep
picked out?
Yeah, I was gonna keep the pants, but the inseam was off. So and then the you can exchange it for like the right size, but that was out of stock.
Okay.
And also they sent a belt with those pants. So if the pants had been the right size, I probably would have kept the pants, the belt, and the shirt.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I don't know if it's AI that is kind of learning, uh, um, but I think they'll get tighter and tighter. So I think they'll be able to recommend, or they'll be sending me better recommendations over time. And the other thing is you kind of go through this thumbs up, thumbs down. Like, so, they kind of figure out Nat likes basically dark colors, solid dark colors. So
But they can't just send you all black every time, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
that's cool. And so are you locked in? So you have once a month, are you locked into 12-month deal, or can you do it less, more? Well, how does that work?
No, you set your frequency. I set it for once a month. I'm actually thinking about going a little bit more frequently, maybe even once a week for a little while.
Wow, getting crazy on us here.
I literally haven't shopped for clothes for 15 years. They talk about like that dad bod, and it's like you get all of a sudden you realize, well, I had these clothes from before I had kids,
Yeah.
and it's time to update a little bit. So
It kind of sounds like as you approach 50, midlife crisis. I'm just throwing that out there.
yeah, I did buy a faster car. I am working out 3 times a week. Um, Protein shakes, basically protein shakes, morning, lunch, and dinner. So
All
yeah.
right, all right. So we're on our way, and so you're a new person going into 2021. You're gonna be this designer guy, right? So instead of all black, that's very cool. Got your sports car. So why don't we do this today? Why don't we talk a little bit about 2021, where we see franchising going? All right.
Okay.
So we know where you're going. You're going to be the best dressed guy from that standpoint, Mr. Style. But let's talk a little bit about franchising. So welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. Nat and I are two guys that have been in business for a very long time. We like to share insights, bring in guests. So today what we're going to talk about is the 2021, where we see franchising. And Nat, we've been through kind of a crazy, call it 8 months, 9 months with this COVID-19. And we would all like it to go away. It appears it's not going away. In fact, I think it's getting a little bit worse here in Illinois. And so as you take a look at 2021, where do you kind of see franchising going?
Yeah, I think the business owner mentality has to be like you have to land on your feet when stuff hits the fan, basically, right? And so even the parent companies, the franchisors, I mean, those are essentially businesses too. They were founded at some point by a founder. So again, like when stuff hits the fan, you have to land on your feet. So I think a lot of franchises have actually done a very good job landing on their feet. I think the franchise unit owners have done a good job, dealing with a lot of this. But I think a lot of the trends, like you hear about how Lowe's and Home Depot and a lot of those are just doing really, really well. So I think what that means is that a lot of the home renovation or remodeling franchises are doing well.
All right. So let's talk about that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
From a standpoint of the last 9 months, we've seen a lot with service, right? Because bottom line is that they've adapted, right? So they have, and we used, I think in the past podcast, talking about like blinds, right? Window treatments, where instead of coming into your house, they can do virtual estimates, right? So you've seen that, and there's a real advantage as you go through tough economic times, is that with the franchise, you're not going through it by yourself. So as you talk about landing on your feet, they're there helping you adapt the business model. You got other franchisees that you can lean on, so you're there together. So as we talk about this home improvement, right? So what I've read is a lot of people, I can't travel, I can't get on a plane, or I choose not to get on a plane. I'm not going to go stay in a hotel. And so there's, instead of spending their discretionary dollars on travel and entertainment, stuff like that, they're really spending their money on making their living space better. Do you see that?
I totally see that. I'm even, for better or for worse, experiencing that firsthand. I'm like, ordering furniture and having large deliveries and things like that, painting and flooring and all of it. Also, I was just thinking about that too. The other thing I think a lot of people are doing, like that Peloton and some of the fitness workout at home type things too.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about kind of the that side of the business, kind of the health and wellness. I've seen the same thing with us. We're spending money on our house and carpet and paint and all other kind of stuff. And we're getting furniture and we're getting these deliveries and we've got all this cardboard. I can't get rid of enough cardboard.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So service is really, as we see 2021, that continues on, right? People are going to continue to spend money on their homes and stuff like that. The other area that I think people are going to spend on, you touched on it, is, the Peloton, the health and wellness. Right. And I know you're spending money. You are going to, I think it was Orange Theory, right? Every day.
Yeah. And, again, another great example of a franchise brand that's doing a great job through COVID. They have all these protocols in place. They're taking your temperature, asking you questions, spraying your hands with a sanitizer. You're wearing a mask when you go in. The good news, you can't take it off when you're on the treadmill or the rower and things like that, so you can breathe, which I think is great. But they're making like a 10-foot little like bubble for each person. But the franchise unit owner didn't have to figure that out. Corporate figured that out for them, and then kind of like, here's the playbook, guys. Here's what we want you to do, which I think is really, really great, and that you're able to land on your feet and keep on serving your customers. It might be like a little bit reduced volume. And then the other, again, like Orange Theory, for example, they have an app, right? So I think almost all these franchises have a pretty good technology stack, right? So you can reserve your class, you can see your stats, all that kind of stuff right from your cell phone. So I think technology, the cloud. In 2021, I think the winners are going to be the brands that can are already using technology to their advantage, right?
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And so you're doing Orange Theory, I'm doing Peloton every day from that standpoint. I love that technology. It's pretty cool. And you've seen a lot of people invest in equipment in their house. One of the things that you and I were on a couple of weeks ago was that biohacking conference.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And it brings it back to this kind of health and wellness. Is people, when we go through tough times, they can't control if they've got a job, they can't control COVID-19, but they can control how they feel about themselves. So for example, you're dressing better now, you're eating better, you're exercising, right? So you're doing the things you can control. You can't control COVID-19 out there from that standpoint. And I think we're going to continue to see that with franchises, right, as we go forward, or businesses in general. And one of the things we learned is this biohacking is a great way to focus on your body to deliver a healthier lifestyle. So maybe what we'll do is there's a franchise concept I'm thinking about. Maybe we'll invite them in on a guest to join us, because they really focus on that cryotherapy and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever tried that cryotherapy?
I have not, but I know a lot of professional athletes have. So that means I probably should do it, right?
Well,
Being
I
good
probably
company.
own one, but my wife has forbidden me to have any more equipment in
Yeah.
our
You got
house. And
got the steam room, the cryotherapy. What else?
infrared sauna, things
Exactly.
like that, light treatments and stuff like that. So we're seeing more and more trends with that. And I think we'll see more as we go into 2021. What about I've got a bias against food, but where do you see food going in 2021?
I think like that concept of a cloud kitchen and delivery, drive-throughs, anything like that, I think is going to be really strong. I've seen, like, I know McDonald's and Culver's, some of the big drive-through brands, their sales are actually up in 2020 compared to last year. And you're thinking, well, they closed the dining room, so they're probably going to be at 50%, right? But they're actually up, 5, 10, 15% over last year because they're running all that volume through the drive-through. So, brands, Panera, Culver's, McDonald's, there's a lot of franchises that have drive-throughs, Taco Bell, all those.
Yeah, I was just reading an article about McDonald's. They're figuring ways to improve the speed of going through their drive-through line.
Oh yeah,
And they've been in the drive-through business for a very
yeah.
long time, but that shows the example. Okay, if I have to put more volume through my drive-through, how do I accelerate the pace going through it so that I can, basically cover up the missed sales I have from inside? So
Yeah, and then I think probably, unfortunately for the workers, there's probably less people inside because the dining rooms aren't open as much, right? So they reduced some overhead, run the volume through the drive-through, so potentially even more profitable.
Yeah, right. So I still have the cost of the brick and mortar, but I got less employees, right?
Yep.
And I don't have to be cleaning the place as much because, you can't go into like, if you go to McDonald's and you want to go use the bathroom, a lot of them are locked up. You can't even go inside.
That totally happened to me. I was actually at Boston Market and I needed to use the restroom. So I went, I was like, oh, I'll go order inside. And there's a sign on the door that says drive-through only. So I'm like, oh, all right. But I'm really hungry. So I went through the drive-through, got my food, and then found a restroom somewhere else. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting trend to see if, when you're starting a business, it's based on how many square feet. So if you have like a 3,000 square foot restaurant, it's times however much per square foot is roughly how much the startup's going to be for that. It'll be interesting to see if the footprints start to shrink a little bit and they start to put, more money towards like a double drive-through or things like that,
Yeah, I just saw something on a Chipotle. They had a picture of this Chipotle and it didn't have any seats in it. And it basically said, we don't want anybody sitting in here, from some point. So I think you're going to see more of that. Another area I think in 2021 that's going to continue to grow is anything that deals with people's kids. Right. Because no matter what's happening, we're going to do what we need to do for our kids. Yeah. And I think a little bit about tutoring, whether it's swim lessons, martial arts lessons. I mean, bottom line is that parents are going to continue to spend money on their kids.
Yeah. That's kind of been the little like bright spot in our family. Cause like my 13-year-old's been going to volleyball camp. So, like a travel volleyball. So some of these different, it's just a great example, right? It's like not cheap at all, but it gives them the ability to go do something because school sports and everything have been closed down. Yeah. So even though we have to do a lot of driving, it's been super helpful. And I think, you got to keep your kids, busy doing stuff, learning stuff. So I totally agree. I think that's a really good point. Kids.
Yeah, my kids, really my senior in high school is online, and I've got a daughter that's also in college online, and a lot of it gets lost in the translation, the education part of it, the teaching. Yeah. And I know it's very hard for the educators. So from that standpoint, it's not their fault, but we've had to actually hire tutors and essentially try to give them a little extra, and they're good students, but they're just getting a little extra. And that's something we're willing to pay for as parents. Right.
Pay now or pay later, right, Pete?
Absolutely, right. Fair enough. So, Nat, as we sit here at the kind of the end of 2020, it's been a crazy year, and I think we're all ready to have 2020 done. But as we look at 2021, we're going to have a new year, a new start. Clearly, you're getting ready for it. New wardrobe, new car, new work ethic. You're eating good, except for going to McDonald's, as you said. But this idea is that we're all ready for it, and I think as we look forward to franchising continues to surge, right? We see that people are getting kind of laid off. They're just looking to take control of their life from that standpoint. So we're going to see that. And I think I'm really excited for 2021. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's the only way to live. You can either be really depressed or really excited. I choose really excited.
Yeah, absolutely, right. Half full or half empty, right? Absolutely. Exactly. Well, Nat, I'm looking forward to 2021. Let's go have a great week, and let's rock and roll, buddy.
All right, thanks, Pete. Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.